I hope you all like barbecue because we are talking about some roasted pig. 83-51. The Auburn Tigers beat the Arkansas Razorbacks in Bud Walton Arena. Let's do our reaction show for that. Talk about the stories and the stats. We're getting into it right here and right now. War Eagle Auburn family and War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, whether you're watching here of home base of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days, anywhere else, however you got here, whenever you got here. Thanks for being here and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. As is always the case, we'd love for you with every live stream. Start off by smashing that like button. It does help us stream out, helps others find us, and of course, check in with us. Post where you're watching from, your city, your state, and international with the War Eagle. Would love for you to do that so we know where you are watching from and who's hanging out with us on the live stream or even on the replay. You can participate in those things as well. This is a reaction stream, so we are literally just going off the cuff here, talking about our initial thoughts and very good reactions to this game. Arkansas falling to the Auburn Tigers by 32 points. Let me say that again, folks. The Auburn Tigers beat Arkansas at Bud Walton Arena by 32 points. There were so many stats being shared at the end and statistics and like records and things like that at the end of the broadcast. I think it was their worst loss in Bud Walton Arena. I think it's the first time maybe that they somebody broke 30 on them in so many games. Absolutely mind-blowing, crazy. I am utterly shocked. We were very active on X and Twitter for the duration of the game, but for the last 10 minutes, there was nothing really left to say, to be honest with you. The play spoke for itself. I am truly shocked today. And I want to be careful here, too, in my opening thoughts. What I don't want to enter into is a bunch of hyperbole about this team just because of this one game. However, when we talk about it through the context of what's been taking place throughout non-conference play and this particular game, you can start to get a little bit excited and see potentially where this team may be heading if Arkansas is as good as advertised. So the revenge tour is complete. The Arkansas Razorbacks get their butts whooped after the way they behaved 2 years ago, but also in this game at the start of it, especially. So lots to talk about from this game. We're going to get into some stats here too, but I want to know, what you guys think in general. So drop some comments and stuff right now. We got a lot of people already here checking in. Jay and Big Simp. Devin is already here. Kevin's hanging out with us. Brian on Facebook. Who else is here? We got Brian Fulcher out there in the great white north of Minnesota. Thanks for hanging out with us and being part of the stream. Quick little housekeeping note. Some of you have been on our live streams recently know that we've been having a few audio issues we've been dealing with. If you guys hear that sound again, let me know, and we'll try to adjust on the fly. Probably won't be able to fix it, but hopefully it won't be a problem this go round. So, boy, where do we start with this one, guys? I don't know. Just 32 points. Part of me is trying to kind of keep my excitement down because what I've been telling you all a lot on these streams is that I don't say these phrases or describe a team, like, and especially when it's related to Auburn, with a lot of hyperbole. But I've told you this is a great basketball team. And I think today is evidence of that. This is a humongous win on the road. This is a humongous SEC road win and SEC win in general. You won't see Arkansas again, so it positions you ahead of them in any tiebreakers that come down the line in a world where Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee, traditionally Arkansas, maybe throw Alabama and Ole Miss this year in there, who are the favorites, perceived favorites for the league right now. It positions you ahead of one of those potential. But there's other teams too. I'm just throwing those off the top of my head. They're the most prominent ones historically as of late and currently this year. I'm not going to dismiss Texas A&M. Florida showed that they could compete with Kentucky today a little bit. So this is a very challenging league. What I'm curious about, and maybe hear from you all, do you think Arkansas was not as good as advertised? Is there any part of you that feels that way? Because here's the funny part about it too, is those of you that have been on YouTube with us for a while know how much we get invaded by the Arkansas fans when they beat us. My assumption is the ones that are in the background right now are being very quiet, and the ones that usually pop in won't be popping in for this stream. So I'd love to hear some of their perspectives if they're watching, though. Do you think this team is not as good as advertised, or do you think Auburn just was the better team today? It probably follows somewhere in the middle of all that, but that's kind of what I'm trying to fight the hyperbole part of me, and I'm trying to fight also the realism and find that middle ground somewhere in there. Neil's here. Good to see you, Neil. Thanks for hanging out with Zach is watching on X. So he says coming in from Atlanta, kind of shocked. So I think we all are kind of shocked, to be honest with you. It is it is very interesting. I agree with Big Simp that Arkansas is a good team. Arkansas, until proven otherwise outside of this one game, should still be considered one of the upper echelon of the SEC basketball hierarchy. Now, here's what's got to happen now, folks. You have got to become humongous Arkansas fans the rest of the season. You got to have them beat your Kentuckys, beat your Alabamas, beat your Ole Misses, beat your Tennessees, all that kind of stuff. Texas A&Ms. We have to become the biggest Arkansas fans from this point forward. Devin says, glad they buttoned up the mouthing off in the second half. It was a little ridiculous, but you got to adjust how the refs are calling the game. You know, this whole game had a lot of emotion around it. And a lot of that is fueled by the history of the last couple of years. Eric Musselman I will tell you, he's a good basketball coach from how he has particularly behaved in a few instances. I'm not a big fan of his. And a lot of times I will tell you that I will tell you, it's just a fact. The team reflects their coach. And I think what you saw out of Arkansas in this game, the blatant shoving, holding on to players, overly aggressive fouling. This meant a lot to you and you cared a lot, but it was a little bit over the line. Now, on the flip side of that, Auburn's mouthing off. It just was dumb. I mean, it went beyond, trying to get in their heads and stuff like that, which it apparently did. It was just dumb. Very stupid decisions. This is my one complaint of the game that could have altered the course of what we were trying to establish about this game. Obviously, in the end, it didn't matter, a 30-point win, but definitely is something that you want to keep in check for right now. We all remember that one, Neil. That was a interesting live stream after that one too. In fact, I think to this date, that is one of the highest viewed live streams that we have ever done here at E2C Network, simply because the Arkansas fans just invaded because, they had to have their way with us after that. It was pretty entertaining. And Brian, I agree. I don't mind a little swagger, especially if the team that you're playing across from you is going to have that kind of air about them too. You want to kind of throw it back at them, but it got excessive and it got a little bit unnecessary, probably is the right word. The idiotic foul by Devo. Is it Devo or Devo Harris? Davis, I can't talk, was textbook Arkansas and Musselman. Yeah, I mean, that was a pure, I'm upset at the world right now, and I'm just going to do something. It gains you nothing. It wasn't even subtle. It was just stupid. It was absolutely just stupid. So, and Jay points out that we've got a lot of players improving their play over the year, and not just improving, but I would say a lot of them are rising up when we need them to. Have you noticed the trend thus far this season? When someone's down, someone rises up. Janai was non-existent in the first half. Who took over? Chad Baker-Mazara, CBM. Now, what's going to be interesting this week, you haven't heard, we've been doing a lot of regular TikTok lives about lunchtime, 12:45-ish Eastern time. And one of the big stories and things that we talked about all week was someone brought up the point they thought Chris Moore needed to be starting over Chris Moore should not be starting. Chad Baker-Mazara should be starting his place. And Bruce didn't address this completely, but he kind of did in this press conference. And I made another video just kind of pointing out that sometimes just because the statistics are better for someone doesn't mean they deserve is not the right word, should start. What's best for the team. I will continue to argue what Chad Baker-Mazara, similar to Katie, provides off the bench is more important than what he could do in the starting lineup. That's just my opinion. Maybe coach feels differently now, but that would be, Coach Kyle's opinion on everything. David points it out. We just gave Arkansas their worst home loss ever. Bud Walton curse is finally broken. It is broken for this go round, but we've got to create some streaks in there before we say it's completely broken. That is a tough place to win, and credit goes to their fan base for showing out, and they were not treated to much this game. It was great, but I was kind of disappointed it didn't go down to a single digit win in some ways as a basketball fan. Now, as an Auburn fan, I loved it. As a person who loves to watch Arkansas basketball fans suffer, that was great. And the Arkansas fans on TikTok Live, sure, quiet. I agree. They're not going to be saying a whole lot this game. I want to hear from some either here or I want to hear from some on TikTok Lives this week, because I want to know from them their perspective of their team. Was this truly a fluky game? Auburn was better, or Auburn was just truly better? I want to know their perspective of this too. Zach says, love the CBM transfer decision. He's so skilled and he played very well today. He's played very well a lot of the time, sometimes better statistically than others. Today was one of those statistically better days. He also got a little bit too fired up at some moments. So I think you walk away from this win, and the worst thing that you can say about it is that we were a little bit too mouthy. I'll take it, frankly. To get a win at Arkansas, if that's what it took. I'm not excusing it. We've talked about it already. It's a little bit overboard at times, but I will definitely take it. Baker Bazaar, is that a new name for him? Is that a typo, Big Sim? He's a game changer. All right, so let's look here. I want to ask you guys the big question that we usually do at the start of the show. So right now in the chat, if you're watching live, you're on the replay, you can do this too. Who is your player of the game? Again, I'm going to ask you to think about this. A lot of the times there's an easy answer, and a lot of times it seems there's an easy answer, but I truly want you to ask the question, who was your player of the game and why? Not just look at the points. Sometimes the points tell the story. You do that, it's Chad Baker Mazzara, and he is a big case for the player of the game. But in your mind, if you really think about who truly made the difference in this game, and that would be your player of the game. So give me that answer in the chat right now if you've got a pick for that. Shane's on Facebook. Good to see you, Shane. Great win. Amazing win. A stunning win. Not the fact that we won, the fact that we won the way that we did. Oh, look, this was going to be the game. They got the meme culture back fired up. I doubt it'll come back to like it used to be, but it's nice to hear this. It's got people fired up again. I do miss the newness of that, and wish it was, as prevalent as it used to be. Big Simp says, Chad is mine, Broom in the second half. But you got to pick one. Pick one of those. You got to pick one. You could make a case for a lot of people, I think, here. You could make a case that Jalen was the most steady and consistent, even just getting 11 points today. You could make a case that Trey Donaldson at 9 today, with some of his very stellar play at the point guard position, deserves some credit there. But really, when you hash it out, it comes down to two guys, Chad Baker Mazzara, Janai Broom. So if you're going to say Chad Baker Mazzara is the player of the game, it's mainly because he helped establish that lead that we took into the second half, at the end of the first half. And I thought that was about just as crucial as maybe what your case is for Janai, him locking down and getting his 14 points all in the second half and just totally dominant. Only 2 rebounds away from another double-double for him. Absolutely outstanding. Zach says Janai picked up his game, established himself inside, and made his presence felt. Oh, they did feel it. They did. First one that comes to mind for Devin, Trey Donaldson. Didn't make a lot of noise, but clutch passes and shots. Kind of an all-around point guard play, which you really needed tonight. And a day where Aiden was a little quiet. He showed up, but a little bit quieter. Shane says Broom, MVP today. Chad always out-hustles everybody. And look, when we're asking you to pick a player of the game, we're acknowledging this is a team effort. But I think today, Jay says CBM is his. I think today I'm going to give it to Janai Broom, because if he doesn't lock down the way he does and turn, I don't know what the points in the paint were in the first half. I wish I'd looked, but I know what it is in the second half. And it literally just flipped on its lid. And we're going to get to the stats in a second. You'll probably hear me talk about that again. So I'm very happy with both of those guys getting nominations, the legitimate nominations for player of the game. But to me, it's going to be Janai Broom today. So proud of Mr. Williams, though. Never forget our boy Jalen Williams, #1 super fan right here. Mr. Steady, Mr. Reliable. And you heard it here first. Jalen Williams does Jalen Williams things. What does that mean? It just means what it means. All right. So there's your stat lines for both of them. Chad Baker Mazzara, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 21 minutes of play. Janai Broom, 14 points and 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Very comparable. Janai has the better stat line. Well, actually, he's got 2 turnovers and Chad had none. So you could say they're pretty even in terms of like where the strong points and weak points on their stat line is. Here's the rest of the scoring for the day. Aiden Holloway with 5. Talked about Jalen with 11. Chris Moore gets 0. No, y'all don't follow my boy Chris Moore. He's a crucial part of that starting lineup. Denver Jones, 7. Denver should have scored a lot more in this game. He had some very rough fouls on him and rim outs. Very unfortunate for him today. I was surprised he only got 7. Trey Donaldson with 11. And then we got some of our walk-ons in there. Oh, no, Darren Scott's not a walk-on. He got in there for 2 minutes of play. And then Leo Berman with 2, Chaney Johnson with 5, and Dylan Cardwell with 6. And he had that really great alley-oop from Trey Donaldson. I like that connection that's happening there. So that's the rest of your scoring for the day. Yeah, we're going to get to that stat in just a second here. Good point. It's not off topic. Anything that's Auburn basketball here is on topic here, sir. Shane says that I believe Auburn is the most underrated team in the SEC. I think outside looking in, probably yes. There's probably a lot of people that stopped paying attention to Auburn as much, considering how they kind of faltered at times last year and took for granted some of these clearly very good gets in the offseason. CBM, Chaney Johnson, Denver Jones, Aiden Holloway for Bruce Pearl, and are now kind of realizing, oh, so you mean Auburn doesn't like take big drop-offs. They might have a reload year, but they're still a legitimate threat. Now they're learning. Big Simp, thanks for hanging out with us in the stream. And thanks for checking in with us. Oop. There you go. That one. I'm fine with AU being underrated. We do seem to play in all sports better when we're underrated, don't we? But we're rated now, so got to show up and show out. All right, so we went through all the scoring. I'm trying to see if there's any other stats individually, just really quickly, that are worth bringing up. Cardwell with 8 rebounds, equaling Janai Broom. So some strong work from him there individually. That's a pretty good stat line for him too in 14 minutes of play. So that's the individual stats. Let's talk about the team stats. I will go ahead and bring up what you brought up earlier there on X. 3-point percentage, 39% for Auburn. Now, did you look how it started on this day for Auburn 3-point wise? It was not good. Really, really, really kicked up a notch. Combined with that and points in the paint, Janai stepping up, it just became insurmountable for Arkansas, even in Bud Walton Arena. That's the crazy part about this. In Bud Walton Arena, 32 points. Say it again, 32 points. Absolutely outstanding and crazy to think about. Auburn shoots 49% for the day. Arkansas 31. Not terrible, but not great for Arkansas. Free throw percentage. So these are going to be the 3 areas that we talk about as my most important. I stress free throws 73% for Auburn, but they only got 11 attempts. So modest. Could have done better. 80% is my mark. Arkansas 53%, and the free throw percentage to start off the game for both teams was abysmal. It made me sick. Absolutely sick. But we win that round. Turnovers, Auburn 7. Arkansas 13. There was a point, I think it was about 10 minutes into the game, and there had only been 2 and 3 turnovers. I think it was Arkansas 3, Auburn 2. And that was pretty impressive in a very emotional, charged game. Thomas is here. Good to see you, Thomas. Thanks for hanging out with us. We talked about free throws, turnovers, and now we need to talk about rebounds. Rebounds. 46 to 32. Now that is an extreme margin right there. 46 to 32. That's a 14-point margin that Auburn wins, but that's not going to be your biggest stat of the game. But if you notice in all those 3 categories that I stress, Auburn got the win and did so with significant differential in free throws, good enough in turnovers, and significant in rebounds. You win the day. The most significant stat, I always look for the other big stat of the game. I've already brought it up. Points in the paint. Points in the paint. Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to change on the fly. Points off the bench, because it's just a notch or 2 better than the points in the paint. I'll just say it. Points in the paint was 48 to 18. That's huge. 30 differential. Bench points, 46 to 9. That's insane. All their points came from their starters. All Auburn's points came almost equally, or maybe doing quick math here, more so from their bench. That's courtesy of Chad Baker-Mazara. That's courtesy of Trey Donaldson. The most significant people there providing that, but from a lot of different individuals. This is a deep, talented, and very good team overall, folks. A great team. Other stats. Auburn wins the second chance points 13 to 14. Pretty even on blocks and steals. Auburn just slightly ahead there. Assists doubled up by Auburn 16 to 8. So really, is there a stat team-wise that Arkansas won? I'm looking really quickly here. Looking very quickly here, so there's not all this dead air. No. Auburn wins every team stat line. So that goes to show you team wins are better than individual wins or wins by just your starters. There you go. Jalen said, Jalen Hurts fan says that arena was crazy today. It was good at the start. I am, as a basketball fan, disappointed they didn't get a better show, because I really would have liked, that to have showed out a little bit more. So Auburn assists 16 to 8. Auburn as well doubled up Arkansas. So all good stats there to talk about and be happy about. So what does all this tell us as we started off the show talking about? Auburn basketball is a great team. I think I can definitively say that. I still don't know how great, because I'm curious to see what this Arkansas team looks like the rest of the season. Need to be rooting for them. And this is a humongous thing for Auburn, which has been the knock on them, that they can't win on the road, which is why it's important for us to root for Arkansas for the rest of the season. The better they look, the better this road win looks, and the more it proves that narrative is not true, and that the narrative that the App State loss was a bad loss. Been trying to knock that. You've seen SID, Marlene Navor going on, not on, but just defending that, rightfully so, that was not a bad loss. This proves that Auburn can win on the road, and that they can do it in fine fashion against some extremely, extremely talented teams. Here's the thing. Arkansas is they've got a good coach, an annoying coach, a good coach, and a really talented basketball club. They just clearly haven't brought the team aspect together, at least based off of this game. Most of their points come off their starters, which is, you typically expect. But when you compare that to the success Auburn is having with their bench, it's hard to ignore the fact that Auburn is just doing more with everybody, as opposed to them just focusing mainly on their starters. So I think this is a very talented team. Once they get it together, they'll probably look a lot better. The Bud Walton folks, they deserve a better showing than they got today. Second half was a very clean game. That was really huge and a positive. Another narrative that's been true, Auburn struggling in the second half, especially coming out, and they did not. I can think of about 2 big swings Arkansas had, one in the second half and one in the first half, which got them probably one of their few leads for the game. And each time Auburn responded, every single time. After 5 minutes left in the first half, we went on a 57-23 run. Wow. What a stat. What a stat. Absolutely incredible. All right. We are moving towards the end of our stream. Don't run away just yet. Still got some things we'll probably talk about here. So if you've got a story, a player that you want to give a shout out to, or something you don't feel like we've spent enough time talking about from this game, put it in the chat right now on the live stream. Let me give you a reminder of what's coming up next here at E2C Network in terms of live streams. You have tomorrow night, live, 9 Eastern time. The Auburn Experience is back, episode 61. Join us. It is our main podcast of what we do. Austin and myself will talk about sports, culture, and family. We'll definitely talk about this basketball team and probably wrap up, lamentingly, the football season as well. But we're going to try to hit a variety of things that are related to Auburn. 9 Eastern time, Sunday evenings. Don't miss it on YouTube. If you want to join us for our next scheduled post-game stream, that will be the Texas A&M game. I believe that's a late one. So get ready for that. And then Wednesday nights, we have our Auburn Family Night live call-in show where we'll talk about anything and everything. Those are always my favorite night of the week. That's what you can expect. Follow us everywhere. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the different things, so you don't miss any content from us. All right. What other storylines, comments, questions do you guys have about this game, the team moving forward? I can pull up the schedule a little bit here just to maybe I know that's probably been on some of y'all's minds, and I should have had this already pulled up. But if you're interested to know what the implications this win might have on the rest of the season, Auburn's about to play Texas A&M at home, LSU at home. Not going to be easy wins, especially that Texas A&M game, I think. But theoretically, Auburn is hard to beat at home. And so you would hope those are going to be wins. Vanderbilt's not a pushover, easy, but that's on the road to that monstrosity. That is a high likelihood of a win. So in theory, your strongest test comes 3 games later at Ole Miss. That's why this is such a huge win, not just because of what it does currently, but what it sets us up for in terms of a streak of success to get off to one of the strongest starts that you can possibly have in the SEC, because we're going to run into the Ole Misses. We're going to run into the Tennessees, the Kentuckys, the Alabamas, everybody else. So getting this win right now in Bud Walton was huge. Shout out to CBM, Chad Baker-Mazar. Shout out to Janai for being the first and second half duo to really lock this game down and put it away for us. So I think that is gonna have we have the best media admin in the SEC. Are you talking about Marlene? She is very entertaining, I will say that. If that's who you're talking about, or are you talking about their media team that does some of the tweets and videos and things like that? I would also agree with that statement too. What I love about the basketball support staff, however you'd like to categorize them, is everything that they do, you can just tell that they love their jobs. And not that others don't, but I think they've kind of embraced, especially with the meme culture, the goofy side of everything. And frankly, that's very refreshing. Jackson says all the above. So there you go. I think they just love it. This team's having fun. I'm sure the coach is having. We're having fun. Folks, we just beat Arkansas by 32 in Bud Walton Arena. I know I've said it 1,000 times already, but let that sink in. That doesn't happen. That's incredible. Revenge tour complete. And I think we have rectified 2 years ago, and that game that happened there, and the static started to come back. So it's like at 30 minutes, it comes back. So I'm going to investigate that and see why that's happening. But we're done anyway. So thank you guys so much for being here, hanging out with us. I hope to see you tomorrow night, 9 Eastern time, for the Auburn Experience live recording. Join us in the discussion there. And until I talk to you guys again, y'all have a great afternoon and Saturday, and War Eagle.